Lucifer and Satan. These two names for most people stand for the ultimate evil, but the truth is that Lucifer is not Satan. Today we're going to explore ancient texts, banned knowledge, and secret symbolism as we reveal how our history and our consciousness has been manipulated through the power of symbols, and we'll be answering an even more important question: if Lucifer isn't Satan, then who is he? Before we begin, remember to like and subscribe because my channel is about raising consciousness to create a new world. And when you hit the like button, it actually helps spread this information. So take a second to hit it now. Also, pre-orders for the digital edition of my new book have begun. You can find it on Amazon by searching for Neogenesis, Dawn of the New Mind. Like I said, that's for the digital edition. The paperback and hardcover will be available May 16th. Now, let's begin. You might believe that Lucifer is found in the Bible, but that's not true. In fact, Lucifer isn't in the Bible at all. Go ahead and grab a Bible right now and look for the name Lucifer. Oh wait, didn't find it, did you? Actually, it is possible that you might have found it just one time. See, in most translations, you won't find it anywhere at all, but in certain translations of the Bible, the name Lucifer appears exactly one time. In Isaiah 14:12 to be precise, which says, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning." But here's the kicker. This single reference to Lucifer was actually a misinterpretation and never meant to refer to any kind of supernatural being. In the original Hebrew language of the Bible, the word that got translated as Lucifer is actually Hallel, which means shining one or morning star. So what's that all about? Well, it's talking about the planet Venus, which you can see shining bright in the sky right before sunrise. It's the morning star. See, it's not about a fallen angel at all. This verse in Isaiah is actually about the king of Babylon, and they called this king Hallel, or morning star, to make a point. The writers were saying that this Babylonian king was like the morning star, that he was important and powerful, shining bright in his kingdom. But then he lost his power and faded away. The verse isn't about good versus evil in heaven. It was a poetic way to talk about a powerful king who fell from grace. In fact, almost all modern English translations of the Bible doesn't use the word Lucifer in that verse anymore. Instead, they say morning star or day star, pointing out that it's really about Venus. This means that in most modern Bibles, the name Lucifer appears exactly 0 times. But here's the problem. That one mistranslation had a huge impact. As Christianity spread and Roman culture began to mix with Christian beliefs, the name Lucifer took on a whole new meaning. People began to associate it with the Christian concept of a fallen angel thanks to stories and artworks in that time. So the name Lucifer started to stick around as a label for this fallen angel, even though that was not its original meaning. So what is its original meaning? In Roman mythology, Lucifer wasn't a person or any kind of mythical being. As I said before, it was the name for the planet Venus when it appeared as the morning star. This lightbringer was a symbol of the dawn, a new day, and hope. But what happens when that light is turned into darkness? See, while this symbol of light was developing, a symbol of darkness was also being born: Satan. We've learned that Lucifer got mixed up in translation, but that's not the only twist in our story. See, originally the concept of Satan wasn't the evil figure that we think of today. The truth is that Satan isn't a name at all. It's a Hebrew word that means adversary or accuser, and in Judaism, Satan isn't seen as an evil, rebellious angel, or even a being in opposition to God. Instead, Satan is a servant of God whose role is to act as an accuser. He was like a challenger or a lawyer in a courtroom. But when Christianity began to spread, the perception of Satan began to change dramatically. Early Christianity was grappling with the concepts of sin, temptation, and evil, and they started to cast Satan as the personification of everything that opposes God's will. Satan became an archetype representing everything negative: darkness, selfishness, an inflated ego, a hunger for power, and a love for control. Now, this sinister version of Satan is the total opposite of Lucifer, a concept who originally represented light. But what did Christianity do? They equated the two archetypes, Satan and Lucifer, darkness and light, as the same being. This wasn't because someone found it in an old ancient text. It happened because stories changed and grew as they were told and retold, like adding one rumor on top of another. The church turned light into darkness by creating a story about a beautiful angel of light that fell into darkness, and by doing so, they made the light seem evil and sinful. And here's the most important point. By doing this, Christianity turned the search for knowledge, something beautiful and enlightening, into the ultimate sin. See, take the story of Adam and Eve, where Eve gets tricked by the serpent, who in Christianity is equated with Satan, or Lucifer, into eating the forbidden fruit. Well, in this story, the pursuit of knowledge leads to the fall of humanity, painting knowledge itself as a path to evil. But hold on, because there's another side to this story, and it's where things get really controversial. See, in secret teachings and mystical circles, the kind of stuff that mainstream religion doesn't want you to know about, Lucifer is still the good guy. These hidden teachings often see Lucifer not as evil or satanic. In their eyes, Lucifer is everything that Satan is not, a symbol of knowledge and the awakening of the human spirit. See, in the mainstream Christian view, following the rules and not asking too many questions is key. But these more secretive, esoteric beliefs flip that script, arguing that true spiritual awakening comes from questioning everything, even if it means shaking up the status quo. But what if I told you that Christianity didn't just get Lucifer and Satan wrong, but also Jesus and God? Let's start with Jesus Christ. In the book of Revelation, he's actually referred to as the morning star, which is exactly what Lucifer means. Now think about what Jesus represents: light, love, compassion, and enlightenment. He's all about bringing knowledge and understanding. When you look at it this way, it's clear that Jesus represents the true spirit of Lucifer as the lightbringer, the bearer of wisdom and enlightenment. In fact, in the secret book of John, a Gnostic text that was banned by the church, Jesus reveals that he was the one in the Garden of Eden that caused Adam and Eve to eat from the tree of knowledge. Why? So that they would understand their inner light and power. So here we have the archetype of Jesus Christ as representing the same role and function as Lucifer the lightbringer. Now, let's take a look at the God of the Bible. If you take a hard look at some of the stories in the Old Testament, you'll see this God is violent and downright malicious. He's constantly demanding worship and unquestioning obedience, and there's even a story in the Bible where he accepts Jephthah's daughter as a burnt virgin sacrifice. Now, really think about this. You can't get more archetypally satanic than accepting a burnt virgin sacrifice. So you see, the God of Christianity matches up with the Satan archetype, all about power, control, and instilling fear. So if God matches with an archetype of evil and Jesus with goodness, what if Jesus was actually the enemy of the God of the Bible? I know that sounds kind of crazy, but this is actually not a new idea. The Gnostic Christians, a group from the early days of Christianity, believed exactly that. They saw Jesus as a figure of divine wisdom fighting against the ignorance and tyranny of the Old Testament God. And guess what? They weren't alone. Later in history, another sect known as the Cathars believed the same thing. And here's the kicker. Marcion, the guy who created the world's first Christian Bible, believed this too. He thought that the God of the Old Testament and the Father of Jesus were two different beings, and his version of the Christian canon left out the Old Testament entirely because of this belief. This idea, though, didn't sit very well with the mainstream church. After the Council of Nicaea, the church, backed by the power of the Roman Empire, started to enforce their view that the wrathful and vengeful creator God was indeed the Father of Jesus. And they weren't very nice about it either. They hunted down the Gnostics, and later in history, they eradicated the Cathars through the Crusades and the Inquisition. So what we have here is a clash of narratives, a spiritual tug of war. On one side, you have the traditional Christian view, where Jesus is the son of the Old Testament God, and on the other, you have these early, more mystical Christian groups seeing Jesus as a rebel against that very God, the torchbearer and morning star, a Lucifer. Whereas the God of the Bible is a being demanding blind obedience, wielding power through fear and intimidation, a Satan. So you see, Lucifer isn't Satan, Jesus is Lucifer, and the God of Christianity is Satan. Now, why does any of this matter? Because the figures of Lucifer, Satan, God, and Jesus aren't just characters in some religious text. They are powerful archetypes that symbolize more deep and universal human experiences and ideas. Now, the way these symbols are used can alter the consciousness of the masses. For example, by portraying Lucifer as evil and equating him with Satan, they made light and knowledge into something that should be feared. This is a method of control by maintaining power structures, by discouraging critical thinking and promoting blind obedience. But if Lucifer the morning star is seen as a positive symbol of enlightenment and knowledge, as we see in Gnostic and esoteric traditions, this encourages the values of questioning, learning, and breaking free from oppressive dogma. Now, this disrupts established power structures, and this encourages true spirituality and intelligence. And this is important because the power of using archetypes to manipulate consciousness can be seen everywhere in our culture, our politics, our social structures, and just take the use of these symbols in political propaganda. Leaders and movements often use religious symbolism to legitimize their authority and demonize their enemies. The point is that these religious narratives we've been fed by the church have been used to control us. Essentially, we have to understand that these stories never actually happened, but they contain powerful symbolism, and these symbols can be interpreted and portrayed in different ways, and this can be done for power and control. So what's our takeaway from all this? It's about questioning the stories that we've been told, because true knowledge always begins with questioning. Enlightenment isn't about accepting what you're told, it's about finding your own light in the shadows of doctrine and dogma. And remember, the true darkness in this world is ignorance. The true light is knowledge and wisdom. And that light doesn't come from some ancient mythical figure. It comes from you, from your ability to learn, reason, understand, love, and to grow. It comes from recognizing that within you lies an incredible power to enlighten, change, and inspire. Now, if you like this video, check out my other video called Jesus Christ is Lucifer. And if you want to help my channel grow, support my work on Patreon or join on YouTube at Tier 2 or higher to get access to all of our members-only videos. And I want to give a big shout out to everyone who supports. My name is Morgue, and I am neogenian.